June 27th, 2025, Venice, Italy, a big old palace from the 15th century, huge yachts floating in the Grand Canal, drones flying over, dropping rose petals from Morocco. It looked like a royal party, or maybe a big world meeting, but it wasn't. It was the $76 million wedding of Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. People saw the fancy lights, the expensive clothes, the famous guests, but they didn't see the real story. No cameras were allowed at the after party, phones were locked, and some guests were told not to come. So what really happened there? Why did Jeff Bezos spend so much money right now in such a big and secret way? Was it just love or something much bigger? Everyone saw the beauty, but almost no one saw the truth until now. In 2018, something happened that shocked the world. Jeff Bezos, the man who built Amazon, met a woman named Lauren Sanchez. But there was one big problem. Jeff was still married. Soon, their messages got leaked, and the world found out. It was the start of a huge scandal. Paparazzi followed them everywhere. Headlines exploded. People talked more about his love life than his company. Then came the real shock. Jeff and his wife divorced, and it cost him $38 billion, the biggest divorce in modern history. Most people thought it would break him, but something strange happened. It didn't. In fact, it looked like Jeff got even stronger. He stepped down from Amazon. He began working more on Blue Origin and his Earth Fund. And right next to him, always smiling, was Lauren. Many people judged her. Some called it fake. Others said she was just there for the fame. But Jeff didn't hide. He stood tall. He wasn't just in love. He was changing, growing, and maybe even starting over. Was it love? Or was this his way of reinventing himself? Lauren wasn't just his girlfriend. She became his partner in business, in travel, in everything. The world had never seen Jeff like this before. More open, more bold, more alive. But still, something was missing. They didn't get married. Not in 2019, not in 2020, not even in 2023. So people started asking, if this was real love, why wait? And when they finally chose to get married, why Venice? Why 2025? That's where the next part of the story begins. Because the place, the timing, and the secrecy weren't random. They were part of something much bigger. So why did Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez finally get married in 2025? And why did they choose Venice, Italy, one of the most magical cities in the world? Well, the date wasn't random. They picked June 27th for a special reason. It was the anniversary of their first Blue Origin space flight together, a moment that changed everything for them. And Venice? That choice was even deeper. Venice is a city known for wealth, power, and rebirth. It once ruled trade across the seas. Now it would host a wedding that felt more like a royal event. Lauren called it the Eternal City for eternal love. To her, this wasn't just a wedding. It was the start of a new life, a new chapter for both of them. But let's talk numbers. The wedding cost $76 million. That's almost twice what Beyoncé spent on her wedding. Bezos didn't just rent a palace, he basically rented the whole city. The city of Venice even rerouted some canals just to make space for his guests' giant yachts. Local boats were blocked. Drones flew overhead, dropping rose petals. The air smelled like flowers and history. But this wasn't just about romance. This was about sending a message to the world, to other billionaires, to anyone watching. Bezos was telling us, I'm still here, I've changed, but I'm not done. And Lauren, she wasn't just the bride, she was part of the plan, the face of his next big move. So yes, there was love. There were tears. There were smiles. But underneath all that, there was strategy. Now here's the real question. What happened on day one of this wild weekend? That left even billionaires in shock. Day one of the wedding weekend didn't feel like any normal wedding. It was more like the start of a royal celebration or a movie about billionaires. The day began early with the sound of 17 private jets landing one after another at Venice's airport. Each jet carried some of the world's most famous and richest people. There was Bill Gates, the man who helped to make computers for everyone. Oprah Winfrey, the queen of talk shows and media. Mark Zuckerberg, the Facebook creator. And even Jay-Z, the famous rapper and businessman. From the airport, guests did not take cars. Instead, they were welcomed with armored gondolas, special boats made to protect them and look amazing on the water. These gondolas were polished to a shine, guarded by strong security, and floated silently on Venice's famous Grand Canal. At the water's edge stood Lauren Sanchez. She was dressed in a simple white gown that made her glow. She personally greeted every guest one by one. She smiled warmly. She gave hugs and whispered small words to each guest that made them feel special and welcome. This was not just kindness. It was a carefully planned show of power and connection. The Grand Canal, usually crowded with tourists and noisy boats, was completely closed off. Shutting down such an important part of Venice for 3 whole days cost a whopping $6.4 million. But this money wasn't just about privacy, it was about control, making sure everything was perfect and silent. The whole area sparkled. The air was filled with the scent of fresh, white roses flown in from Ecuador. Even the place cards on the tables showed each guest's net worth, a reminder of who was really invited. But even with all this beauty and luxury, there was a strange feeling in the air. Sometimes luxury can feel too much, so perfect that it becomes cold, distant, almost lonely. Guests smiled politely, but some looked unsure, maybe even uncomfortable. Elon Musk was not there. According to flight records, he was never invited. People whispered this was because Jeff and Elon had tension and fights before. Or maybe Jeff wanted to make it clear, this is my circle now. So the big question is, who was this wedding really for? Was it truly about love, or was it a way to show the world who was still on top? Because this was not a quiet, secret party. It was a loud message seen by millions around the world on news and social media. And if day one was this grand and intense, what surprises awaited on day two, the real wedding ceremony? Day two was the moment everyone had been waiting for, the wedding ceremony. It took place at the beautiful Palazzo Pisani Moretta, a grand palace right on the Grand Canal in Venice. The ceremony happened at sunset, just as the sky turned soft orange and pink. Inside the palace, huge 18th century chandeliers lit the room with a warm, golden glow. The air smelled of fresh flowers and old wood. Lauren wore a custom-made gown by Dior, one of the most famous fashion houses in the world. The dress was made just for her, sparkling quietly under the chandeliers. The wedding rings were something special too. They weren't normal gold or diamonds. They were made from lunar dust, dust brought back from the moon. The ceremony cost an incredible $20 million. Just the flowers alone were worth $900,000. The palace was filled with rare roses, lilies, and orchids flown in from all over the world. During the vows, something unexpected happened. Jeff Bezos cried. Tears rolled down his cheeks as he promised to love Lauren forever. Lauren whispered something soft but powerful. "We're infinite now." It was a quiet moment, but full of meaning. The entire ceremony was filmed, not just for the guests to watch later. No, this was for something bigger. They were shooting footage for a biopic, a movie about Jeff Bezos' life and journey. The movie is set to come out in 2026. This wedding was not just a party or a celebration. It was a launch, a signal to the world that a new chapter was starting. Not only for Jeff and Lauren's love, but for everything they would build together. This was the moment when two powerful forces became one. But there was one big question left hanging in the air. What happened that night after the ceremony when the cameras were turned off? Because one thing was clear, no cameras were allowed after the party ended. What secrets did the night hold? What did the world miss while watching from afar? After the stunning wedding ceremony, the night was far from over. Guests moved quietly to the Kourou, Jeff Bezos' huge $500 million super yacht waiting nearby. This was no ordinary party. It was an ultra-exclusive after-party on the yacht's deck, turned into a glowing dance floor with lights and music. Before guests stepped aboard, they had to sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. That meant they promised not to tell anyone what they saw or heard. Even more strict, all phones were locked away in special boxes. No pictures, no videos, no leaks. Only those invited could be there, and what happened would stay secret. The mood was electric but strange. Many guests danced and laughed, but Jeff Bezos was seen crying again. But this time, he was alone, away from the crowd, away from the cameras. Why? It seemed like a mix of relief, hope, and maybe a bit of fear. The entertainment was out of this world. Beyoncé performed a private concert, singing some of her greatest hits just for the guests. Then, legendary singer Andrea Bocelli sang too, his voice filling the night air with emotion. This private entertainment alone cost around $4.5 million. But the most mysterious part of the night wasn't the music. A drone flying quietly above the yacht caught one secret moment on video. It showed Jeff Bezos handing Lauren a small crystal cube. The cube was clear, shining like a diamond in the night. People who know say the cube contains a special symbol, their next 10-year plan. As Jeff gave the cube to Lauren, he whispered quietly but clearly, "Phase 2 begins." What did he mean by that? What was inside that cube? Was it a secret project, a new business plan, or something even bigger? This moment was the heart of the entire wedding weekend. It showed that this event wasn't just about love or celebration. It was about plans, power, and the future. A future where Jeff and Lauren lead something the world has never seen before. So the big question is, was this just a wedding party? Or was it the quiet start of something much bigger? A new empire, a new dynasty? The answer lies in what happened next, and who was really there. This wedding was not just a party. It was a meeting of the world's most powerful people. The guest list read like a who's who of global leaders and decision makers. There were tech CEOs from the biggest companies, top defense contractors, and even Saudi royalty. These were people who shaped the future of business, politics, and technology. One powerful image from the night was Lauren Sanchez sitting quietly right between Melinda Gates and Sheryl Sandberg. It was like a meeting of some of the most influential women on the planet, each with their own vision and power. The invitations to this wedding weren't normal paper cards. They were encoded NFTs, digital tokens tracked on the Ethereum blockchain. This meant each invite was unique and impossible to copy or fake. It was a sign that this event was as high-tech as it was high-class. Some guests weren't just there to celebrate. They stayed behind after the wedding for private, one-on-one meetings with Bezos and his team. Deals were discussed, plans were made, alliances were formed. This wedding was not only about love or family. Jeff Bezos was building a coalition, a group of powerful allies to support his next big moves. So the big question is, with all this power and influence in one place, where does Lauren Sanchez fit into this puzzle? Lauren Sanchez is much more than just Jeff Bezos' wife now. She is becoming the co-architect of his next great empire, and one that stretches beyond just money. Together, they are shaping the worlds of media, space exploration, and even politics. Lauren has taken on a big role. She now runs production for the Bezos Earth Fund, a huge environmental project Jeff supports. She also leads documentaries about Jeff and their life, showing the world their story in a new way. When asked about marrying Jeff, Lauren said something powerful. "I didn't just marry Jeff, I married his mission." This shows how deeply connected she is to Jeff's goals, not just his wealth. Lauren now owns part of the Washington Post, one of the most important newspapers in the US. This means she has a real say in shaping news and information for millions of people. There are even rumors that she may run for the US Senate by 2032. If that happens, Lauren would move from media to politics, becoming a powerful leader in her own right. This adds a whole new layer to their story. It's not just about love or marriage, it's about building a dynasty, a powerful family that will influence many parts of the world for years to come. But some ask, is this true love, or is it a carefully planned partnership made to last and grow? Maybe it's a bit of both. They share a vision bigger than themselves, and this wedding, with its $76 million price tag, was the first big step to show that vision to the world. So, what was the real purpose of all this? This wedding was not just a big, fancy party or a simple celebration of love. It marked the start of something much bigger, the public launch of what many now call Bezos 2.0. This new chapter in Jeff Bezos' life is not about just making more money. It is about building a lasting legacy, something that will continue long after he is gone. Bezos and Lauren's plans go far beyond the world of online shopping or tech. They include Blue Origin, Jeff's space company that wants to take people to space and beyond. There is the Earth Fund, a huge project they lead to protect the environment and fight climate change. And there is also their growing media empire, which now gives them influence over how news is shared. Plus, their increasing political power adds another important piece to their plan. At one moment during the wedding, Jeff whispered something to Lauren that many guests noticed. He said, "Now we outlive them." This shows just how serious they are about building something that will last forever. A family name and power that no one can erase. Here is a big fact that surprised many people. Only 2 days before the wedding, Jeff set up a new holding company. This company is a special way to organize all their money, businesses, and future plans, all under one roof. The wedding was not only a celebration, it was a soft launch, a secret way to introduce what's called a dynastic trust. A dynastic trust is a legal tool designed to keep wealth and power inside the family for many generations. This means the wedding was the very first public sign of Jeff and Lauren's plan to create a family dynasty that will last for decades, maybe even centuries. This was not about showing off riches or status. It was about creating a kind of immortality, a way to keep their family's influence alive forever, passing it from one generation to the next. They are thinking beyond just today or tomorrow. This is a plan that looks hundreds of years into the future. So what does all of this mean for us? When billionaires like Jeff Bezos build these lasting empires, they are shaping the world in ways we may not fully see right now. It makes us ask, are we chasing just money and success, or are we thinking about what kind of legacy we want to leave behind? The truth is, the $76 million wedding wasn't just a celebration or a party. It was the opening scene of Jeff Bezos' next big plan, the start of his next empire. This wasn't about showing off or just getting married. It was about telling the world, I'm starting over. And the woman beside him, Lauren Sanchez, was not a trophy or just a wife. She was the co-founder of this new future. Together, they are building something much bigger than love, a powerful team ready to lead for years to come. There was a deep, quiet moment on the yacht deck during the after party. Jeff whispered to Lauren, "This is how I start over." It wasn't about the past mistakes or scandals. It was about building a fresh future, a legacy no one could take away. Here is a big lesson. Legacy isn't something you get by chance or by birth. It's something you carefully engineer piece by piece, plan by plan. Think back to the opening scene, the palace, the drones flying overhead, the petals from far away. All of it was carefully planned, perfectly staged to show a final rebirth, a new chapter for Bezos. And what about that crystal cube Bezos handed Lauren during the secret after party? It wasn't just a pretty gift. Inside were the blueprints for a foundation, a powerful new organization that will guide the family's work after Bezos steps back. It's a secret sign of a long-term plan for leadership that goes beyond just one person. So now, ask yourself, what would you build if you already own the world? Would you chase more power, or would you try to build something that lasts forever? Because that is the true meaning behind this $76 million wedding. It was never about the money, it was about making a mark that can't be erased. Jeff Bezos didn't just get married, he started his second beginning, a whole new chapter in his life and story. This wasn't a normal wedding. It was a big movement carefully planned to show the world he is ready for what comes next. Billionaires like Bezos don't just throw parties or weddings. They stage movements, moments that change everything. They send powerful messages with every detail. If this video changed how you see Jeff Bezos and his wedding, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. I want to hear from you too. If you had $76 million and one chance to reset your whole future, how would you spend it? Would you choose love, power, or something else? Write your answer in the comments below. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes the biggest moments in life are not what they seem at first.